everybody. It's Jennifer.
And Jasmine.
And we want to welcome you back to the How's Your Wealth Show. Yes, we are super excited that you're here. Today, we are going to be talking about how to develop your wealth blueprint. And for those of you that may not know exactly what a wealth blueprint is, we'll kind of give our version of what that actually means. For me, the wealth blueprint is basically like your blueprint, your layout of how you will go about creating financial prosperity for yourself and for your family.
Yes.
How would you define it, Jasmine?
I would say the blueprint is pretty much the plan. Just like you said, just a written out plan of how you're going to get from where you are to where you want to be in regards to your wealth.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into it. So, Jasmine, tell me, how did you first learn about money?
So for me, my initial introduction to money was from my mother. Of course, when I was growing up, the traditional thing to do at that time was to take your child to a bank, open up a checking account, savings account, teach them how to write a check and to balance the ledger. And, I would say that my mom, she always talked about saving for a rainy day. So I heard that a lot throughout my childhood. Save for a rainy day, don't spend it all, and balance your checkbook, don't want any overdraft fees. So that was pretty much my introduction to money. What about you, Jen?
Yeah. Well, definitely, my parents did the thing with making sure I understood how to balance my checkbook, all that good stuff. Yes. But I'll take it even, as I think about it, I really didn't learn about money necessarily. I just learned, when you think about it, like, yeah, balancing your checkbook is very, very basic. It's not really teaching how to grow your money, how to plan for retirement, how to even, manage credit or anything like that. That definitely was never on the table as an area of conversation. I think within my household, within my household, I think it was like money was kind of like, one of those things that wasn't really talked about unless it was just like, it just wasn't talked about when I think about it.
I think too, like my parents, they were very middle class or they lived check to check. So there wasn't really a lot of money talk because in their eyes, there wasn't really a lot of money to talk about.
Right.
They weren't investing in my early days of childhood or however. So those conversations were very limited, and just even like college, my parents weren't college. They didn't go to college. So when it came time to talk about financing for college or finding funding for college, I didn't really have that conversation either. It was all kind of like trial and error.
Right. Yeah. I think that happens quite a bit. People kind of just figuring it out as we go along. So yeah, that definitely impacts, our, ability or even focus on, a wealth blueprint. It's like wealth blueprint. Like, do I even have enough money to have a blueprint or, but we definitely want to, cut through those misconceptions because you can definitely create a blueprint regardless of whatever your financial situation is right now.
Definitely, because, it goes with that saying, it's not what you make, it's what you spend or what you save. So for sure, there's opportunity in every circumstance and every situation to improve upon and to create a blueprint.
Very definitely.
So what do you think are some of the biggest lies that you were told or that you thought about money? Some of the biggest lies.
Probably the biggest lie was that I have to work hard for money. That, the harder you work, the more, the better you do, the more money you make. And that is such a laugh right now. And I think about it because nothing could be further from the truth. I'm sure, well, at least for me, I know, the hardest job that I ever had was a waitressing job. And I did that for maybe a month and a half. And it was literally the worst paid job that I ever had, the most demanding, the most stressful, and or one of the most stressful. And so yeah, definitely hard work does not equal good pay. That was a lie. That was a lie I learned.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree, especially in this day and time with technology. I think there's been so many advancements that allow you to work smarter and not harder. So, yeah. I would say for me, the biggest lie that I thought about money was more money would solve my problems, my money problems.
Oh yeah.
As I accumulated debt, I just needed to make more money or, find a way to make more money and it would just solve the problem. But that's a myth too,
Definitely.
because, if there's a hole in the bucket, no matter how much money you put in it, if it's pouring out the hole, then nothing is going to change. And so I think that we have to realize that it's our habits that kind of put us in certain circumstances, financial situations, accountability for our actions. And when we do that, then we can kind of change our money situation, our money problems.
Very much. And just to piggyback off of what you're saying, like, each individual, for all of you listening and watching right now, you really determine what wealth means to you. There's no one size fits all about like what wealth is or, even, what that means is really determined by you as an individual.
What it looks like and feels for you.
Exactly.
I would say there are some people who are some real risk takers, you know what I mean, that love like the stock market and the high of it all. But then you have people that are a little bit more safe, but there are ways that you can all make your money make money for you.
Definitely. And I think that's what you just said is the key. It's, for me at least, my definition of wealth is being able to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, with whoever I want to do it with. And the way to, I know that's right. Yeah. And the way to do that for sure is, creating passive income that doesn't require me to trade my time for dollars. Because, if I want to jump up and go on a vacation tonight and I have, to clock into work, that may not be, possible.
Right.
So that's not in my definition wealth. But for other people, it just depends on what your vision is.
I know. And we're going to definitely get in deeper to passive income, in upcoming episodes. But can you give a couple of examples or an example of passive income that for those that may not be familiar?
Well, definitely. I mean, we are the How's Your Wealth show. So we of course are going to talk something about real estate. Real estate is, if you purchase an investment property, apartment buildings, or even like a short-term rental,
Yes.
you can, use that as income to replace, your 9-to-5 job. And that can build some passive income for you. Another
And even, go ahead.
What I was going to say is another means could be, online marketing. We're in the internet age, and there's so much opportunity online to build, to sell things automated where you don't, you set it and forget it, and it's just making you money while you sleep. So that's a very awesome opportunity as well.
It is. I was going to piggyback off of the real estate and say that, even the first step, even if you can't purchase something to get rental income, I mean, there is the concept of house hacking or like renting a room or renting a space within where you live. So that's like a baby step.
Definitely. I love the house hacking idea. Yeah, for sure. And for those of you that don't know or never heard that terminology, like what the heck is house hacking? If you could explain that a little further, just so they can get an idea.
So if you say you have a house, or even if you can do it in an apartment, if you have an extra room where you would rent out that room to a renter, someone who's just wanting to rent like a bedroom and a bathroom space, and it would contribute to your overhead. So that's a way of generating some income with a space that you already have. Yeah, house hacking.
Very definitely. Very definitely.
Oh.
So, I know we have talked about some of the books that were really influential for us when we were learning about money and learning about wealth. Jasmine, go ahead and share the book that we love and think that is a must read for everyone. Yes, if you have not read it, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Yes. It's an oldie but a goodie. It's definitely been around for quite some time, but it is really, in my mind, like one of the baseline books that everybody should be looking at, especially if you are trying to develop wealth for yourself and your family, just getting an idea of how money works. This book will really lay that foundation. So yes, I love it.
And it's a book that should be reread. Like I'm actually in the process of rereading it right now. And I'm picking up on things that I didn't pick up the first time that I read it because, in different seasons of your life, different things apply. So it's a good introductory book, but it's also a good reread. So put it on your list.
Definitely. Yes. What I want to do is actually show you the cash flow quadrant. We talked about kind of what that is. And
so it's definitely a big staple of the book. I think one of the great takeaways from the book is learning the difference between an asset and a liability.
Mm-hmm.
And that is important, knowing that an asset generates income, liability creates a bill. So really, when you examine things on a micro level, you will see that some of the things that we have maybe been taught, like a house is our greatest asset. It is, but then again, it is also or can be a liability if we don't take care of it or if we do not try to generate income from it. So, the house is the greatest asset. It's one of those, it can be in either column. And I think that was kind of something that was mind opening to me, because in my family or in my generation, that was like owning a house was king. Like you were, I can't curse on here, but it's like, you are the bomb. That's the word.
Right.
By being a homeowner,
Exactly.
But then we don't really talk about like property taxes or putting money into keeping the upkeep of the house and how these things can kind of put it in the liability column.
Right, exactly. And just understanding that, there's obviously nothing wrong. It's good to own a home. We definitely encourage home ownership, but definitely just making sure that you are financially prepared for it, because a lot of times people don't really take into account. They get in, by the skin of their teeth and they're just like, I'm a homeowner. But then it's like, okay, now if the water heater breaks, the washing machine breaks, if anything goes wrong, you need to be, you're responsible for not only, maintaining and fixing it, just making sure that, you're taking care of your home. It does require, some additional expense. So definitely something to keep in mind when you're making the decision to become a homeowner.
Yeah, you don't want those things to create a financial crisis.
Exactly.
And that is what is so great about having an emergency fund, and that is a foundational thing in financial literacy, is that you want to try to get at least 3 to 6 months of income in your checking and savings account. And it's amazing what an emergency fund can do. I know there have been different seasons in my life where I've had an emergency fund and it seems like it just buffers all the problems.
Right.
But when you don't have one, oh my God, a flat tire can just ruin your whole month.
Definitely. Definitely been there. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay,
yes,
awesome. So here is the cash flow quadrant that Robert Kiyosaki talks about in his books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and as well as he has a separate book specifically called the cash flow quadrant. And this is kind of the layout of it. you have the left side of the quadrant and you have the right side of the quadrant. Um, the left side, we're going to start with the employee. The employee is, someone who is trading their time for dollars. So that would be someone who's working an hourly position, or even, working a salary position for a company, but it requires that you, show up to work, you put in a certain amount of work, or you do not get paid. So that is your employee column. Then you have your self-employed column. And this is, you're moving into a little bit more leverage. You are still actually trading your time for dollars, instead of having a boss that is, requiring that you be putting in a certain amount of hours. You're, as a self-employed person, you're doing it yourself. So you're not underneath somebody that's requiring you to put in a certain amount of hours. However, if you do not work, you do not get paid. So, it's a little bit more leverage, but a little bit more flexibility, but definitely not putting you in position for wealth building and, financial freedom. Robert Kiyosaki talks about the ideal place to focus is on the right side of the quadrant, which is creating leverage for yourself. And when you move into the right side, you're looking at the B column, the business owner column, and that is where your income does not depend on any active work. So you have your employees who are doing the work and you are producing the income. So this is where you start to create leverage and freedom so that you can, jump up and travel or, spend time with your family or do whatever you want to do without having to worry about trading that time for dollars. Then you have the investor column. And this is really where, Robert Kiyosaki talks about wealth is created. The majority of people who are wealthy are going to be in the investor column. And with that, they're basically using the money that they have to create more money. So, they don't necessarily have a business. They may be investing in other people's business. They may be investing in properties or real estate. But this is just an overview of what the cash flow quadrant is all about. And, just to give you an idea, like we mentioned, we're not here to tell you need to be an investor, if that's not what you desire to do. However, this gives you a realistic idea of, the different models that, people go through when generating income. And when you start considering what type of lifestyle that you really desire to have, it's good to have an idea about these different models, because maybe you start a business and you're, making cupcakes and you love it and you're, working, 60 hours a week and, you love it and, it's your passion. That's great. Just know that you're in the self-employed category. And if something happens, you get sick, anything happens, you are going to lose that income because you are tied to that business. So, considering these different models is really important when you start thinking about, how you're going to go about creating that freedom for yourself.
Very true. Because I want to say really quickly that, even being an employee does not mean that you can't crisscross over to the investor side. There are many people who have like 6-figure jobs or that are well paid in their career, their choice of career, and they're looking for ways to invest their money or to make the money work for themselves. So
good point.
We're definitely not saying you have to be limited to one box or one arena, but by knowing them and knowing the possibilities and the goodness that could come out of each area, or, the flexibility that could come out of each area is great to know. So I love this chart.
Definitely.
This is really
Me too. And just to piggyback off of this concept, I'm going to leave this up for another minute because I want to just also point out a very important idea, and that is regarding one of the biggest expenses that all of us are going to incur just, living in America, and that is taxes. A lot.
Say it again, sister. Sorry.
Taxes. They're gonna
Say
take
it
you. They're
again.
gonna get it when you're making it, when you're spending it, when you're
Okay.
regardless of what you're doing, you're gonna have to pay taxes. So it's an unfortunate thing, but it's it is what it is.
The truth. The truth.
Exactly. So one of the things that I definitely want to make sure we highlight is that there is specific advantage for individuals who own businesses within the tax code. A lot of people have conversations. I've heard plenty of people, have conversations being upset because, they're hearing that, the CEO of Amazon paid zero taxes. Meanwhile, they're paying $10,000 plus in,
Right.
income taxes. And, the reason for that is because the tax code favors businesses. There is incentives that are given within the tax code for business owners because the whole idea there is that they are creating jobs. So all of that is, to the advantage of individuals who take advantage of being a business owner. So the thing to keep in mind is that when you are a business, you earn your money, you spend your money, and then you pay taxes. But on the opposite side, if you are an employee or if you are even self-employed and not setting your business, up in a fashion where you are taking advantage of all the preferential tax code, then you're basically going to be earning, and then you're paying your taxes, and then you're spending after the tax money. So a lot of that money is going to be a lot less than it would be than if you had a business. So just something else to keep in mind when we're talking about the advantages of, being on the right side of the quadrant.
Yeah, even something just as simple as a home business, a home-based business can help a lot towards those tax deductions that you're saying. So it doesn't have to be a grand scale business. It doesn't have to have employees. I mean, there are different incentives for each of those, but even just having a home-based business can help bring some tax relief to everyday people. Yeah,
definitely.
Yes. So, I think one time before you said, Jen, business is America is built on being a business owner, something of that
definitely, sort. Definitely, 100%. So, one way or the other, like we mentioned, you're going to pay taxes. It's going to happen. But definitely, starting a business is going to allow you to be able to write off so many of your regular expenses from your, if you have a home office, you can write off, your electricity, the office supplies, if you have an office, you can pay that off. I mean, there's so many different things that, some of which, even your cell phone, things that you already are paying for that you can now use as a write-off, and you're basically increasing your income because you're not getting taxed on your money before you spend it. There's a lot of advantage to that.
I think we're going to have an episode just on that, just on tax strategies.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've got some great resources on that. So we'll definitely do that. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about investing. What are the different types of investors out there?
Oh, so we have, I would say, investors that create opportunities. And then we have investors that look for opportunities. Those are primarily the two. So to create an investment would be like a real estate property or multifamily. Development would be creating an opportunity. And then help me out, Jen.
I definitely can understand. So in terms of creating an opportunity, it could be a traditional investor, or let me not say somebody who was not sourcing their own investment opportunities, maybe somebody who invests in like a mutual fund or like a real estate investment trust or something where there is a fund manager who's over that group of investments and is saying like, okay, I've been successful over the past year or a couple years and I'm earning this type of return. You can put your money here and you can expect to average this amount of return on your investment. And then, the other type of investor would be like, if you're a real estate investor, you're somebody that's looking for properties that you can, you can buy and hold, or you can flip, or, wholesale, something like that. That would kind of be an example of somebody who's creating their own, their own investment opportunities. So one is not necessarily better than the other. However, there is a lot more opportunity for a greater return if you are sourcing your own deals, and particularly if you have some help, somebody who knows kind of what they're doing. If you're not an experienced investor,
Yes.
that can be a really powerful opportunity as well.
So I giggled a little bit because, some of the new podcasts that I'm beginning to listen to are like becoming your own bank. I've been hearing a lot about that, becoming your own funding source. So I'm definitely interested in learning more about that. And we're going to probably try to find someone who can speak to that in more depth.
Definitely. What opportunities have.
Yeah. So, with all this in a blueprint, you also have to have a vision. And so I think we should kind of touch base on that a little bit. Just, how to create that vision or how to keep it going. I'm a big believer of vision boards and like affirmation boards. So I love putting things down on paper. I love writing it down. They say a goal without a plan is a dream.
Yes.
So I love those type of things. They help keep me on track and keep me focused. And when I'm losing focus, I go back to them to help rejuvenate the thoughts that I have, or to give passion to what I'm working on.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Do you do vision boards? Do you do affirmations in your bathroom mirror?
I do vision boards. I actually have a mentor of mine who showed me how to do a 3D vision board. He had a specific way that he promoted, that we should do vision boards and how to actually use your vision board, because a lot of times, people, we create it and then forget about it or put it in the closet or whatever. And, vision board is meant to be looked at and actually engaged with, and combining it with affirmations on top of it is a really powerful and fast way to get into manifestation mode. So I have not been using a vision board in quite some time, but definitely something that I've done in the past with success. So yeah, but what
journaling is another great one. I always talk about when I started my aftercare business, how I was like, the ideas were just coming at me. Even now, I'm like, ideas come at me and I just write it down, like how much it's going to cost, what services I provide. If you have a business vision or something that you feel very passionate about, start writing it down. And I know that when I revisited those books years later, it was like exactly what I was doing. And it was amazing to read. It was like, wow, I brought this to life. It is.
Yes.
So, journaling is another great thing.
Yes, definitely 100%. So, in summary, just to tie it all together, what we want to encourage you to do is take the time to really get clear on where in the quadrant that you feel comfortable that you want to land. Perhaps, like I mentioned, you have that cupcake business and you really love it and you can't see yourself just wanting to, be an investor and not, work every day.
Yeah.
You love it so much, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's totally fine. You know, perhaps you do want to become an investor and you're looking for ways that you can generate, you know, passive income for yourself. So, you know, what we wanted to do with this conversation is just give you the different models and put it back, you know, put it back in your lap. You know, what you know, envision your ideal lifestyle. What would you be doing on a daily basis? And, you know, just get in tune with that so that you can identify what activities would be conducive for that lifestyle.
Yeah. I want to say that we want to stimulate your dreams today. You know, we want to stimulate them again, and for you to begin to write them down, begin to envision them again, to come up with a plan so that it can be a reality, and that we can all, you know, sometime from now have like a reunion show.
Yes, definitely.
And talk about where you started and where you are now. We're definitely looking for those, or can't wait for those type of testimonies or those type of stories. Because that's what we're here for, right? That's what the platform is for. We want to share and to grow together. So
yes,
get to writing on those, get your blueprint together, right?
Get your blueprint together. And again, make sure that you are subscribed to our podcast so that you can get more updates. We're going to be going deep into all types of different models of wealth creation. And I think we're definitely going to get into that taxes. The taxes thing is huge. I think
I'm ready to learn.
Yes, I think that's the base because it'll give you an idea of, you know, how to set up your business properly so that you're creating the most leverage for yourself and creating the most income. That's all, you know, what we really want, right? Definitely.
Yes, very much so.
Okay. Well, again, we thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Take care.
It was a pleasure, Jen. Pleasure, guys.
All right. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.